What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Code Peterson YouTube channel. We have some more GB Studio for you today, and this is another request from the comments section. A great idea. What are some ways you can incorporate lives and continues with your GB Studio game? So let's go ahead and get started. To begin with, I just put together a simple game here. We have the scene one, our title screen. This is what's going to be used after our character falls down a hole or comes into contact with an enemy. And then this is our level. And what we're doing here today is incorporating lives. So like how do you have continues and that kind of thing. And then um, if you wanted to add multiple levels to your game, then you kind of duplicate this process and somewhat easy for you to do with that. So to begin with, I have scene one here, and I'm going to click on this, and then on the start of this layout, on init, I'm going to go to add an event, and then I'm going to set variable. I'm going to go variable set to value. That's what we're looking for. And then we have our local on here. And then I'm going to click the drop down menu and I want to find one of these globals. So global variable 0, that's the first one. And I'll click this little pencil on here. And then I will call this lives. And I will set this value down here to, we'll just start off with 3 lives, for example. All right, so once we start the game, then our lives is equal to 0. And then we'll press, I have this screen here, like also a little button on press. It takes you to scene 2. That's where we play our game. Okay, so that's good. We have lives there, but we have no way for these lives to be taken away from our character. So looking at this here, what are some ways that we would incorporate lives? Well, I have these holes down here that we could fall through. Here, I'm going to add a trigger. And these two holes are kind of close together. So I'm actually just going to drag this across both ways so I don't have to create 2 triggers for that. So that's one possible thing that could happen. And then another thing I need to do here is just select that trigger and on enter, I'm going to go here and then I'm going to, the first thing I need to do is we'll say remove what I'm searching for. And I'm looking on here, variable decrement by 1. Click on that. And then if I click this drop down, I'm going to find lives on here. I'm going to subtract 1 from my life. Okay. And then after that, I need to add another event. And then I'm going to put in here if variable compare with value. And on here, I'm looking for my lives variable. I click it down on that drop down. And I want to say on here, I'll go um, comparison, and I will say if it is less than 0, okay, so if lives is less than 0, and I'm going to change scene. And the scene that I want to change to is going to be back to scene 1. All right, because that means if I have 0 lives, I don't want to start back on this level here. I'm just going to go back to the very, all right. And then the other thing I could do, I could say else. So here's our little else, and it's always collapsed right away, which is kind of annoying. So don't forget to uncollapse that. Oftentimes I'll forget to do that and I'll add the event, fall into that trap. And then I'll click add event, and then I will go change scene. And then this one here is going to go to scene. So if I fall into this hole and I have less than 0 lives, that means no more lives remaining. I'm going to go back here And then it's going to set my lives back to 3 because that's what I told it to do when I enter scene 1. That kind of makes sense for you. So that is a good thing to know. And then here on scene 3, what I'm going to do here is, now this is kind of a weird thing I've noticed with GB Studio. If I make this a title scene on here and I try to draw text on here, for some reason the text shows up twice. But if I have it be a regular level, like in this case a top-down 2D, then it doesn't do that. So what I'm doing here is I'm, just so I don't have my character showing up on here, I am deactivating the player on in it. So there's that. And then what I have underneath that is I just added an event, and I'll even remove it out here, see what happens when I create it. I'll add an event, and then I'm going to search for draw text. And then here's the text in here. I'm going to tell it, and you could do this a number of different ways. You could add a dialogue on there to do it, or you can do some text in there with replacing the tiles. I have some tutorials that you can go through if you go through the CodePeter's um, Game Boy Studio stuff in there. I do have several things in there with the heads-up display and the scores where you can see how to do that with tile switching. But if I'm just doing this as an easy, quick demo here to show you, I could draw text and I could say lives, colon, and then I'm going to type in, I think it is the $sign, and then I will go lives. And you'll see in here, it says lives in there. Click on that. And then as I hover over this, you'll see it says $sign, $sign. That's just telling you that that's going to be whatever value, whatever the lives is. I don't really want that to be in the top left-hand corner. I could kind of center this over here by changing the X value and the Y value. Now, again, if I was really going all out for this, I would maybe have a little icon of my character there and then a time sign. And then I would just have something where I do some tile. I'd make it more graphic pleasing instead of just this kind of uh, this amateur looking lives with, but you get the idea. There's a number of ways you can. Okay, so that'll show our lives on there. And I'm going to add an event. And I'm going to go search for attach script button. I'll go ahead and I like using start. You can use whatever you want. And then I'm going to add an event and I will change scene. And then in this case, I want to have this go back to the level that I'm on because we want this to have multiple levels, right? So then in here, I'm going to add an event. Let's actually go one step back before I do that. So I have, when I press start, then I'm going to go in here and then I'm going to compare variable with value. If variable compared with value. All right, and then I'm going to go here to the local. I'm going to go down here and I'm going to find another global. So this one I'll choose variable 1. Change the name and I'm going to call this one level. All right, and I'll say if level is equal to 1, and I press start and level is equal to 1, then we are going to change scene to scene 1, or to scene 2, sorry. Scene 2, level 1. Okay, and then as we see here, this is where it's putting my character. I will want to move that by changing value to the start of that. Starting. All right, so then that would be 1 on there. And then I could say if, if level's equal to 2, what 2 would equal to. So then here, um, I might say something with this where I set lives equal to 3. I better set variable to value. And then on here, I can use this local 0, and I'll find where it says level to 1, very beginning. So when I start the game, level's equal to 1. Here's level 1. And then this particular level, I didn't make an ending for it, but let's say I had a little level exit over here. Then when my character comes into contact with that, then I would just say something like, when player enters that trigger, and I would add an increment to my level. So here, when I fall down here, I'd take a decrement from my lives, but if I ended the level by going to the next level, then I would increment my level variable by 1. And that's how I would keep track of that with that in there. And so that way, when you go here to the screen that shows how many levels or how many lives you have, then it's keeping track, and it'll say, oh, if you on level 1 for the variable, I'm going to take you back to that, if that makes sense. Okay, so that is set up for there. I think pretty good. And then the other thing that could happen would be like if I go to this character, and this one, I'm going to say it is a collision group of, I'll just have it be 1. And when this is on hit with the player, okay, so that my character, in other words, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my variable, and then I'm going to decrement by 1 local. That's going lives, add an event, and if you don't want to type all that stuff again, you could just go here to our trigger. I could go here to where it says change scene. Actually, I might just take this whole trigger here, and where it says on enter, and I could go up here and I could go copy script. If I go here to my enemy, I'm just going to actually remove that one on. I can say script. Now we can say where it says decrement lives by 1. If lives is less than 0, then back here. Else, it takes us over here to scene 3. And now we have 2 different ways that our character can life. Okay, so the other thing that I want to do here is I just want to have, this is a little potion that could add a life. So I'm going to give this a collision group of 2. I'll say on hit with play. And then I'm going to deactivate actor. I'm going to deactivate self, the potion. I'm going to variable increment by 1. This one is lives. Okay, so we are in pretty good shape right now. We have our character can lose a life by falling down here, and coming here, and then this one will give us a life. Now, if I look back on here again, and this one is if level is equal to 1, then it's going to put us back on here. I think we're ready to give this a try. So I'm going to save this, give it a test. Okay, we're here on our title screen. I'm going to press return. So here is our game on here. If I fall down here, it says I have lives 2. I'm going to press return. I'm going to come into contact with the enemy. We have lives 1. All right, lives 0. So here this is. I didn't give myself a lot of room in there. And then there it takes us back to below lives. And so now here is our title screen. Now if I go back here, I go over here and I catch this. Now if I fall down this hole, I'm back down and I have 3 lives left because I had the extra life from there. So there you have it. We have this level where there's multiple ways for our character to not successfully make it to the end. And then when the lives are less than, or when the lives are greater than 0, it takes us to our live screen, and then it brings us back here to the beginning of the level, of whatever level we're on because of that level variable. And then if it's less than 0, then it takes us back to the beginning, and then it resets our level to 1, and then it resets our lives back to 3. So hopefully that helps you. Again, there's a million ways you can do that. Just if I'm thinking of a platform way, I want to think of like how can I have my character restart that level until I run out of lives, and then how can I take it back to the beginning, and then what are some ways where I can increase lives through there. Let me know if that was helpful in the comments or if you're looking for something else. And as always, if you have other ways that you do this and it works better, share those with us too so we can make all of us better by learning from each other. And I always appreciate you taking the time to watch it. You're all the best, and keep those ideas for new videos coming because I'll do my very best to come up with a solution for any of them. And I hope you all have a great day.